Work in progress, which means it's time for me to be quiet. And Hunter, the floor is yours.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tech Tuesday, our mastermind with Alex Litz. Guys, I'm super excited to bring on Alex. She is actually the reason I am in real estate, believe it or not. I'll get to that here in a second. Just to give you guys kind of an idea of what we're going to do today. Basically, announcements. Robert's already covered a majority of those announcements. The only announcement that I wanted to add there at the end is next Tuesday at 12:15. We'll be back here and we'll be doing a database audit. What's really cool about that is you can come, you can basically volunteer to show me your database, and we'll go through, audit it, look for different opportunities and gems that he might have missed, or that some ways that you might be able to improve your follow-up strategy and improve your database management. So we'll be doing that next Tuesday, 12:15 at at Tech Tuesday, as we always do. From there, today we're gonna do the mastermind with Alex, and then at the end we'll spend maybe 10-15 minutes for a Q&A session. You guys can drop Alex any question, and we'll kind of discuss. So be a little bit more conversation based. And that's the agenda for today. But without further ado, let me do a little bit of a quick introduction. Like I said, Alex Litz, she's one of my favorite people on planet Earth. She's a big reason I started in real estate. And what happened in 2021, I moved back to the United States with my ex-Russian girlfriend, and I decided, hey, I don't want to really work with Russian startups anymore. I want to kind of venture out, do sales in a different capacity. And I remember that first week that I was back in the United States, in South Carolina of all places. I went on maybe, I don't know, somewhere between 8 to 10 different interviewed and with tons of different companies, and got like I don't know, 5 or 6 offers right off the bat. But then I went on an interview with Alex Litz. At the time, she was the director of operations, or as I like to say, she was the director of intergalactic operations, because she was doing absolutely everything out of this world at the company that we worked at. It's Ocean Ocean there in Myrtle Beach. Went on an interview with her, and I was just so mesmerized by her passion, by her energy, by her knowledge. And I went home that same day, or right after the interview, and I told my Russian ex-girlfriend at the time, I was like, I'm going to work with Alex Litz. Like, that's the person I want to work with. And started working with her, and learned a lot about real estate technology, about follow-up, about sales. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring her on today, because I think she's just a fountain of knowledge. And I'm excited to share her with you guys. So Alex, let's go ahead and turn it straight to you. Like I said, you're a big reason I'm in real estate, and you've taught me a lot over the past couple of years. I'm curious if you could tell us just a little bit about yourself right now, and your own journey into real estate over the past couple of years.
Thanks, Hunter. My God, what an introduction. I think that's honestly the best introduction I've ever gotten ever at any point. Like even for my wedding. I think that was even better than like my wedding introduction. So thanks so much for that. I
Well,
remember
Alex,
whenever,
with that being the case, if you want to leave now, you're more than welcome to. Leave on a high note.
yeah, for real.
I
Oh my
nobody
God.
here is gonna.
I'm just okay. See you guys. I'm Alex. Bye. No, just kidding. I remember when I when we first hired you, Hunter, and I was like, man, we got him fresh off the boat because you literally just got back from Russia, I think that week. And I was like, no, you need to come in for an interview. So, first lesson of real estate and sales, guys, time kills deals. Hunter had had so many different opportunities, and I knew that he was going to get swooped up from somebody. So time kills deals. Like I was like, nope, you need to come in. We got time right now. Come in for this interview today, and then that's how we got Hunter in our world. Um, but my introduction into real estate was kind of similar to that. So my husband and I had actually decided that we were going to sell our home in 2020. So I've not been in real estate that long, but we decided we were going to sell our home in 2020 and move out to the country. And there was a real estate agent who had been nurturing me. I mean, I didn't know any of this stuff at the time because mind you, at the time I was in environmental science, working for the government here in South Carolina, and that's a whole nother world, right? And this agent had been calling and texting me for 2 years, like through two pregnancies. And he had follow-up boss. I registered on realtor.com and he had just been following up with me consistently. When it was time for us to actually sell our house and purchase a new one, after we completed the purchase, the agent was actually one of the owners of Oak and Ocean, my old team. And he was like, "Hey, have you ever considered getting into real estate?" And at the time, I will tell you guys, I was like, absolutely effing not, because I am not about that commission life, right? I would like steady income. I do not want to be on that real estate roller coaster. Um, but I came into it as an ISA. So they had then convinced me, they were like, "Hey, dip your toes in, figure it out. Like come in as an ISA, try and see what that's like. You'll have a little bit of that steady base salary, and then you can also earn commissions at the same time." And then it just kind of all snowballed from there. After 3 weeks of being an ISA, I had 9 closings, and then we had a small team. We had 10 agents. So I had 9 closings after 3 weeks of being an ISA. And then I was just a natural at it. It turns out I'm pretty decent at talking to human beings about whether or not they would like to purchase or sell real estate. From there, it was my responsibility to grow out that ISA team, which is how Hunter and I met because he applied for an inside sales agent position. Um, I grew when I first came on with the team. The ISA department had somewhere between 5 and 10% of the closings were from the ISA department. And whenever I left the team, we were at 55% of our closings were with the ISA department. So I really worked really hard with that department. But throughout my time with that team, I also did operations, um, recruiting, marketing, and when I left, which was a very sad day for me, I will say, like I love that team immensely, but when I left, then I ended up going into real estate coaching. So since then, I've been acting as a fractional DOO, director of growth. I've been helping people set up their follow-up boss, just set up their business as a whole, really. And yeah, that's my
Yeah.
story.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah. Tell me this. So, I mean, obviously, you had a kind of a unconventional introduction to real estate. But what do you think made you fall in love with it so much, and what made it stick for you?
Man, the freedom and just the unlimited income potential. In the past 4 years, um, I worked in government before. I worked when I got laid off in 2020. So I got into real estate because I got laid off, like a lot of people in 2020, right? And I was like super excited to make $60,000. And I was at a high level position in the university. So like, I mean, like I was an associate director position. I was like super excited. So in the state of South Carolina, if you make over $50,000, they have to show your income, like how much you make. There's a website that you can go to where you can look up all the state employees of South Carolina and how much they make. So like the thought, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be on that website because I'm gonna make over $50,000. That was super exciting for me. And I'm not saying that it's all about money because I'm not really a money-driven person. But whenever I realized what that sort of wealth could do for my family and how it's uncapped and how I can use my creativity to make this business what I want it to be, that's whenever I started to fall in love with it. And the other part of it too is that in real estate, I mean, I know that we all, and I'm sorry for my language here, but like you can pick and choose who you want to work with. You don't have to work with assholes in real estate if you don't want to. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of them out there, but you can pick and choose. And that wasn't I didn't have that ability at the university or in government. I had to work with who I had to work with. So that's what made me really fall in love with it.
Heck yeah, awesome, awesome. And so, tell me this though. What's one thing that you know now, now that you've been in real estate for quite a while, and but that you wish you had known that when you started working in real estate? What is maybe one or two things that sticks out for you?
Um, so I think coming from like more of a government 9 to 5 position, I already had consistency in my schedule. And whenever I came into real estate, I didn't come in as an agent, I came in as an ISA with a consistent schedule. So I see a lot of agents not, they're not consistent. They let themselves kind of go on that real estate roller coaster. But that wasn't necessarily the thing that I learned in my time in real estate, though I do speak to it a lot with clients that I work with. My thing was fear. Fear will destroy you.
Hmm.
And every time I let fear get in my way, every time I was afraid to pick up that phone and call somebody because of the notes prior, or I was afraid to get in front of a group of people, or I was afraid to be fully an independent contractor, it hindered my growth every single time. And I failed forward every single time with that. So um, I think my biggest life lesson would be don't let fear stop you.
Heck yeah, very cool, very cool. And so let's dive into that. So no, now you're coaching teams and agents who are coming to you for uh, you know basically ideas and strategies how to talk to their clients better and how to manage their databases and all that sort of stuff. But what do you think is the most common mistake that you're noticing among those agents, or what is the most common mistake that most agents make?
Overcomplication. Like whenever we talk about the database, we're overcomplicating everything. So we
Mhm.
get our hands, like Follow Up Boss, for example, right? It's very customizable. But whenever you're adding too many stages, too many pawns, too many people into your name, it's just too much, right? You really
Mhm.
only need, as an agent, somewhere 1 to 50 people who you think might go under contract within the next 90 days in your name. You don't need 500. It's too much for you to keep track of. When you're an agent and you're working on transactions and marketing and you're doing all these things on your own, I mean, you are an entrepreneur. Just focus in your database on those 50 hottish people and really give them the best customer service that you can give them.
Mhm.
Really, really
Yeah.
get to know them.
Yeah. And speaking of that, so how do you determine that hot list, or how do you determine that short list of clients that is worth my time? Is it solely based off their the timeline that they've told you, or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, no, the first thing I always dive into with a client and even with coaching clients is like, what's your motivation?
Hmm.
What's your reason that you're looking at homes online? All of these leads have either registered somewhere, they're expired leads, or maybe even circle prospecting. But like, I think digging really deep on the motivation is what tells me whether or not that person deserves a spot in my top 50, right? So like, I had somebody who, the other thing that I'll also look at is are they responding to me? So I called a lady and she was crying because she had just lost her sister and she was just devastated and I felt terrible, right? Obviously she didn't want to talk about real estate. And I think most agents would have just thrown that one out and been like, oh, well, okay, moving on to the next one. But I did keep it in my database and I set a task for myself for a week later to send her a card and say, hey, I'm so sorry for your loss. That card, that one card, and then sending her a happy Thanksgiving text and a Merry Christmas text. She is now a client for life, and she will work with me and anyone that's on my team simply because I took a second to say, hey, you're a human. I know you know I'm a real estate agent, but I'm not going to talk to you about that right now. I'm just going to say, hey. So I guess my answer would be anyone, especially with the online leads and the PPC leads, anyone who's responsive and seems like a decent human being, and people who are motivated, they have a reason for moving.
Heck yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Very cool. And so, I mean, obviously, we just kind of talked about a mistake that a common mistake a lot of agents are making. Uh, so now that you're coaching, you get to see a lot of agents who are producing at a high level and a lot who are not. What are you seeing as kind of the major difference between those agents?
It's literally exactly what I just told you. The ones who are not producing at a high level are just hoarding leads that aren't answering them.
Mhm. Yeah.
They're holding on to people and they're kind of like throwing Marys at big groups of like 500 to 1,000 people in their name, and Follow Up Boss. The high producers are they're having real human conversations with their leads. They're speaking to the lead on the level that the lead wants to speak to them. So what I mean by that is that if the lead wants to email all the time,
Hmm.
then they acknowledge and they respect that and they email. If the lead wants to text all the time, then they text. Excuse me. If the lead wants a phone call, then they do a phone call. But the top agents are recognizing the way their clients prefer to communicate and they're matching that preferred communication. So I'm one that prefers to speak on the phone, right? Like, you know, Hunter will start texting me and I'll be like, let's just call, right? We just did that earlier today.
Yeah,
I would rather
yeah,
speak on the phone, right? But with clients, you've got to communicate with them at their level.
yeah. For sure, for sure. You got to be all things to all people. Cool. So, and tell me this. Let's we obviously in our niche we talk a lot about follow up. I'm curious, what does your typical follow up look like? I mean, let's take a specific scenario. I'm a client that you've called, and I tell you, hey, my timelines is later this year, maybe towards summertime. Where do you take that conversation from there, or what do you do next?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so if their timeline's summertime, and let's just say it's 6 months, right? If they have a 6 month timeline for somebody who's in a 6 month timeline, I'm going to follow up with them for the first month or two once every 25 days. And then as we get closer to that timeline, then I'm going to change that follow up cadence to once every 14 days. And if they answered my phone call, then I'm just going to call them and say, "Hey, how you doing? Checking in. How's the weather where you're at? How are things going, moving, getting ready for your move because we're in Myrtle Beach, so it's a very vacation destination. Most of the people are moving from out of the area. So like, how's life? What's going on in your
Mhm.
life? How are the kids? I'm literally just talking to them and trying to hear if there's something there that I can pull and like dive deeper into. So if they say something about their kid in school or whatever, whatever. Oh, you know what? Our last call, you said that you're not ready to move until summer. Just curious, is that because you're waiting for your kids to get out of school? Okay,
Mhm.
and then it's that. So then I might take that. That's kind of like straight line selling. So I'm going to talk to them more about the rapport side whenever I first go into the call. And then fr something from that rapport side is going to pull me into the product where we're going to start talking about homes.
Mhm.
Tell me
Gotcha.
about your kids. What sort of neighborhood are you looking for your kids? Do you want to be close to a lot of
Mhm.
playgrounds?
So it sounds like those initial follow-up conversations are more focused on connection than
For sure.
pushing for any type of call to action. More focused on connection. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I keep saying the word human because I feel like we've lost that human connection in real estate with a lot of the different automations, automated text, automated emails, and all the things automated. And don't get me wrong, my business is built around automation. So there's a
Mhm.
time and a place for it. But when you're speaking to your leads as an agent, you need to be the refresh from the automation. Like you need to be a human and you need to
Mhm.
recognize that the person on the other end of the phone is a human. So this business at its core is about connection, not automation.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Okay. And so kind of following that thread, you know, obviously we have new agents here at our company. We have some new agents who are probably listening in right now. What would be your advice to someone who's in their first 90 days in the real estate business? What would you advise them to, what should be their kind of like 6 month strategy?
In your first 90 days to 6 months, this is going to be your hardest time in your business. And it's going to be the time where you want to quit the most. It just is. For the first 90 days, you're banging your head against the wall. But what my strategy is, pick one thing. Pick your one thing. So if it's calling expired, then pick your time in the morning, in the afternoon, whenever you call them, and stay consistent with it and stay accountable to it. It's just like going to the gym, right? You pick your time and you do it every single day. I don't care how little or big that one thing is. Pick it and stay consistent with it. Because what you do today, you're going to see the results of it in 90 days from now. And if you're inconsistent today and tomorrow and the next week, then your results 90 days from now will be inconsistent. So my advice to you would first and foremost be don't quit
Hmm.
and be consistent. The results will come.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. And so, and what about an agent who's been in the business for a while now? and has pretty solid production, but wants to kind of feels like they've I don't know they've hit a glass ceiling and can't go beyond that. What do you those type of agents? What do you say to them, or how do you kind of tell them to approach their business? What yeah, what's your advice to them?
That one's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times whenever agents get into a groove, and it's everybody, it's any business owner, just not just agents, right? You get into a groove and you've been going uphill for so long, and then you finally like hit this plateau and you're like, okay, cool. But then you've been on the plateau for so long that you're trying to figure out how do you grow again, right? And growing hurts. It hurts. And I feel like fear of growth stops agents who are already in production to get better. And so I guess what I would say is for agents who are already in production and want to grow, then you need to get uncomfortable. Like you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable once again. You already went through that in the early part of your career, right? And you've hit this great spot, but now if you want to go up again, you've got to get really uncomfortable. It's going to be really messy. The second thing is learn to leverage. So if you have succeeded in this business, it's probably because you've figured out your processes and you're very married to them. Learn to leverage. You are good at something, whatever that thing may be, whether it's databases, whether it's talking to people, stay in your strength zone and leverage out those things that are your weakness and just be a powerhouse in your strength zone.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Okay. And tell me this, is there any new technology you're I don't know, really hyped up about right now that you're pitching or at least recommending to your clients, to your teams and so forth? Is there anything that you're a big fan of lately?
Oh my God. Real estate has so many shiny objects as far as like technology. And I really think that it just depends on your individual journey in your
Hmm.
real estate career. So I don't have like this one thing where I'm like, this is the best piece of technology ever. No, it just depends on what you're doing in your business, what you want to achieve in your business. There's all kinds of different companies out there that can help you with all kinds of individual niches. So no, I don't have one thing in particular that I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this is the best thing ever. You just need to figure out what your business is and then figure out what piece of technology. I see so many agents see like, oh, this technology is amazing and now I'm going to fix my business around it. It's like that's the
Yeah.
shiny object syndrome. Like you're bouncing around too much.
For sure. We said, like a big part of this is figuring out your business.
Mhm.
What do you think are the kind of the questions we should ask ourselves to figure out that our business? How do we kind of really get to an objective or at least helpful answer on that?
Oh my God, I'm still on that journey. I'm still on that journey. Um, no, I think you ask yourself like, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and be very honest with yourself,
Hmm.
and I've got there's an agent that I've worked with who and I'm really big, like I'm really big on the calling your database and doing all that stuff. But that being said, and I teach a lot of agents how to do that as well. That being
Yeah.
said, there's an agent who she just can't. It's not her. It's not her by any means. I would have never hired her for Open Ocean. No. But what she is really great at is social media.
Hmm.
And so now here we are. I think she's a year and a half into the business. And in one of the toughest years here in the past few years, she sold $10 million worth of real estate and she never picked up a cold call. So, if cold calling's not your strength, then what is? Maybe events, maybe community, maybe social media. Um, if you don't know what it is, then start with calling because I promise you that'll teach you a whole lot about yourself and the industry. But as you're kind of going on that adventure, figure out
Hmm.
where your strengths are and build your business around that.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. I'm curious though, in terms of social media, I know there's kind of a debate out there, about how much time an agent really should focus towards social media. Do you feel like sometimes social media is kind of a shiny object for agents that they get lost on? And I mean, if so, how do you kind of measure, uh, kind of the value that I'm putting in or the time that I'm putting into to social media?
It's just like it's just like cold calling. Like it
Hmm.
can be a shiny object, but if you know that social media is going to be a business plan for you, then you time block, a half an hour in the morning to do a post. You have to time block. You can't,
Hmm.
what you can't do with social media is you can't go and be like, yeah, social media is my business and then spend 4 hours scrolling, right? No, sir.
Yeah.
That is not the way. If social media is your business, then here, if social media is your business, write this down. Every single day, you need to comment on 10 posts a day. Every single
Hmm.
day, you need to make one friend request a day. Every single day, you need to make 5 days a week. 5 days a week, you need to do a post on social media, not a generic real estate post, like a real post about you or a story of somebody that you've helped. You need to stay on the top of your Facebook friends. Like you need to stay on the top of their feed. You need to be posting regularly and not just posting, but commenting. And whenever people comment on your shit, you comment back and you say, thank you for commenting. So it's just like that needs to be part of your business if that is your real estate strategy. Okay. And you are not allowed to do it for 4 hours. That takes an hour tops.
Hmm. Heck yeah, heck yeah. Social prospecting, right? That's the new that's what the kids are calling it, yeah? Social prospecting.
I don't know. I'm not connected with the kids anymore, if that's what they're
What,
calling it.
what are you talking about? You got three kids. And
Yeah,
guy, guys, that's what's
they
crazy
can't
about
really
Alex.
talk though.
What's crazy, Alex is she's doing so many things and basically wearing so many hats, and she's got three kids, and yeah, it's doing a lot of cool stuff. So one thing that I wanted to circle back on, because we kind of advertised this at the beginning of my announcements that next week we're going to be doing a special Tech Tuesday session on database auditing. Alex, I'm curious, what are red flags for you when you audit a team or an agent's database? What are you looking for in those audits?
So whenever I audit a team or an agent's database, one of the big things that I'm looking for are how many leads are in each agent's name individually. So if you've got more than 100 leads in your name, then that's a problem. If you've got the leads in your name have not had a personal touch and communication with you in the last 30 days, that's a problem. Um, I'm also looking for simplicity. So if you are a team and you've got 50,000 pawns and your sources are a mess and you don't have any definition to your stages, that's a problem. Your stages need to be something that tell you how often you're supposed to follow up with that person. So you've got your hot, warm, watch, nurture, cold, those, but you need to define what those mean to you. So if you put somebody in hot, how often are you going to hold yourself accountable to following up with them? If you put them in cold, how often are you going to hold yourself accountable to following up with them? Those are the big things that I look for in stages. If you have that, then all the other shiny objects like automations and action plans and whatever, you can do all that stuff later. We just need to make sure that you have simple organization to your database to start with.
Heck yeah, very cool, very cool. All right, guys, we got about 15 minutes left, and so as promised, what I want to do is open the floor to you guys and turn this kind of more into an open conversation. Uh, so we'll basically shift to a Q&A session. If you guys have any questions, you can drop those questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can just we'll unmute and give your question live. So let's pick Alex's brain a little bit.
So, Alex, first of all, a lot of great information there. So, my question on the leads, I agree with you of not having too many leads. So, first question is, what is your definition of a lead?
That's a good question. My definition of a lead is a name and a number, and then hopefully an email address, right? So there's a difference between a lead and an appointment. Um, I would go further into defining a lead whenever you define what stage they're in. That's kind of what I was talking about there with the stages.
Got it.
So if, hot lead, and then that would kind of be like your adjective in front of the lead, right? Is that, yeah, adjectives describe nouns. Um, but then your appointment would be like if you have an ISA department who's actually setting appointments, then that's something completely different.
Okay, cool. And then my second question is in terms of diving into their motivation a little bit more, do you have like a specific set of questions that you follow that seem to really keep the conversation going a little bit better?
Yeah, and one of the things that helped me greatly whenever I was trying to figure out how to dig into motivation was actually understanding different personality types. So, I used to do like a lot of disc assessments. Are you guys aware with the disc and all that fun stuff? Okay, cool. Um, I just kind of trained myself over time to start to identify who I'm speaking to on the other end of the phone. And I have to be careful with that because I'm a high D personality, which means that I'm like super Hunter knows this. I'm super aggressive and assertive. Um, and so if I'm talking to somebody that's like an S or a C, then I've got to come into the conversation not so direct, if that makes any sense. I hope that answered your question, but I think it's more of, for me over time, it's been a skill that I have developed. So whenever I run out of questions to ask around motivation, then I'm more asking questions from the Ford method. That was how I developed the skill. Do you all know what the Ford method is? Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Tell me a little bit about your family. Who's moving with you?
Mhm.
Will you be working whenever you make the move? Do you need to find a new job whenever you make your move? Or are you going to stay at your current position? Tell me a little bit about what sort of lifestyle you're looking to live whenever you make this move. How is this move going to impact your life positively on a day-to-day basis? What is this going to do for your life? Just like hit them heavy with those questions that nobody else is asking them. Get into their emotions.
Guys, one thing
Can
I
you
love
repeat the
about real.
Ford?
Oh, go ahead.
Yep,
Can
Ford
you
is
repeat the Ford?
it's family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Heck yeah. What I love about real estate is we have an acronym basically for everything.
Yeah.
We got Ford, we got LP Mama, we got CRM, we got it all.
Why
Um,
Lopo?
YLOPO, DRE.
My
You
husband
got it.
said in real estate, it's like you just fall on a computer and then that's the name of the new thing. You just fall on I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Cool. Um, Let me think. I think I had another question in the back of my mind. Hmm. So also I'm curious when it comes to oh, okay, I'll admit something. Alex Litz, I have copied some of your your templates, your text templates before because they work. You are really good at writing text templates. I'm curious, like, how do you do that? What's your magic? How do you approach that? Do you have kind of like a, I don't know, a secret sauce for writing templates for follow up and stuff and such?
Yes. So, when I make my text templates, I say the words out loud.
Yeah.
And if it sounds good and informal, if it sounds like I'm a human being whenever I speak it, then that means it'll probably come across like that in text.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at a few text templates right now because I've trained a few VAs and I'm trying to find one of the top ones for motivation. And I make them do the same thing. I mean, with virtual assistants, virtual ISAs, I make them do the same thing. It's say the question out loud, and if it sounds good out loud, then it'll probably come across that way in text as well.
Okay. Okay. Um, cool. Tiffany asked, what was the disc? So I just dropped a little link where you guys can actually learn a little bit more about disc styles. There's a whole website that's dedicated. You can go on. You can find out your own disc profile and kind of learn about the other four major personality types.
Make your
But
partner take it. It'll help improve your marriage or
yeah,
relationship.
speaking from personal experience, yeah.
Yeah, oh my God. We
Yeah.
are total opposites.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
What is
Yeah, no,
ISA? What is that? She said it 100 times. I don't know what that means.
means inside sales agent. Yeah. So,
So it's somebody
yeah.
who is like, okay, part of your job as an agent is essentially to be an ISA. An ISA specializes in going through a database full of numbers and making outbound calls to try and prospect for leads. And then they'll take those leads and set them, instead of them going on the appointment themselves, they'll set those appointments for agents.
Yeah, and what I love to say is, yeah, I mean,
Okay,
like
thank you.
Alex is 100% correct about that. I think the best real estate agents are actually inside sales agents. They just don't know it.
Yes.
They're people who go through their database, have it organized, and are being intentional about following up consistently with those leads and essentially taking them from one step to the next of the sales pipeline. So yeah, I know it's a little bit kind of a little bit of jargon to the ISA acronym term, but yeah, no, it's a real thing. Obviously, you guys know here at Century 21 Masters, we have our own ISA department where we're pumping out company leads. But yeah, cool, very cool. Well, let's see. Do we have any other questions here in the chat? Let me check. Yeah. Well, guys, I don't see any other questions in the chat.
I
So
Let's
just
talk
I,
about
covered it.
I I can have more questions.
Robert. Hit
I just
go.
don't want, I want to be fair to everyone here. So,
Ask and you shall receive.
okay. So, my other question I wrote down, Alex, is you talked about that core group. That's like your raving fans, the people that you really want to focus on. So someone who's in your database, a past client, for example, how often do you recommend agents connect with them? And through, is there like a certain platforms? Like, for example, is it, hey, email this often, call this often, or do you have a specific system in place for past clients?
Yes, that's a phenomenal question. Okay, so first and foremost, see if you can get them on your social, right? You want to become friends with them on social media so they don't forget about you. Then, once a month, email is great. We definitely want to do, at the very bare minimum, a once a month email. And then once a quarter, call or text just to check in. So not to, and you're just checking in. You're not talking about real estate. Like when you send your emails, they can be drip campaign emails, kind of like automated newsletters, that sort of thing. That's totally fine, and that can be talking about real estate. But when you do that direct connect with them via text message or over the phone, you're not talking about real estate. They know you're a realtor. You help them buy their house or sell their house, right? You just need to build that connection and continue that relationship.
Thank you. Robert, do you have any other questions?
No, no, I'll let you go.
All right.
You know
Well,
how I
guy,
am, Hunter. I am a sponge for learning and getting better. So I could sit here all day, but I know people got things to do.
that's right. Well, cool. Well, hey guys, speaking of social media, let's talk about where you guys can find Alex. I'm going to drop her links into the chat real quickly so you guys can follow her on Instagram, match or be her friend on Facebook and so forth. and basically kind of follow. She's really active and posting tips and coaching and. For example, she's very active in our Follow Up Boss Mastermind community, and so guys, highly, 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 highly recommend giving her a follow. And Alex, anything else that you would want to plug or that you want to tell people where they can find you?
Just find me on social. I don't have anything to plug. Thank you though for that. Again, I'm just, here to provide value whenever I can. And, if you guys are friends with me on social media, if you just ever want to reach out or shoot me a private message or whatever, if you have questions about something, I'd be more than happy to help you out.
Heck yeah. Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, let's give a round of applause to Alex. She's been wonderful. I feel like this has been extremely, extremely, value packed. But Alex, thank you so much for coming on. It's been just a pleasure, and we hope to maybe have you back here later this year if your schedule allows it.
Well, I mean, with how amazing you made me sound, Hunter, I'll come back every week.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
All right. Thanks, guys. It's been awesome.
Hey, guys.
Bye.
Good job, Hunter. So I'm curious to the group, is there anything that stood out with what she said that you can take and implement right away?
Yeah, be more personal with
Be more
your,
personal.
especially with your core people. Be more human, more personal, not just very structured into the real estate.
Okay, there you go. So
Find
what
what
I
your
would,
stages actually mean. That's something
mm,
for me.
that's a good one. Define what your stages actually mean. That is a good one. I mean, that's why I asked that question of what is, because she made a great point. You can't have too many, you can have too many leads that bog you down. And so what is your definition of a lead? And that I think that was a great point is you have to define what the stages are that you have people in. On Gabby's point on being more personable, it's the same thing as anything else. You have to practice that. Some people are naturally, I say not naturally, but they're more personable than others. Okay, where they have this excitement and this curiosity about what people are going on in their personal lives, and they have sympathy. And there's others that don't. And so it's something that you have to work on and practice because if you don't practice it, then it's not going to sound very genuine. So practice that. Have those conversations. When you're with your role play partner, say, hey, look, here's what I want you to work on today. I want you to just come up with some really, really, really bad life event. Don't tell me what it is. And I have to practice responding to it and see how that conversation goes. Good. Good, good, good. All right, what else? What else did you get out of this? What else did you get out of what she was saying?
I like that she said, do you deserve to be in my top 50?
Mm-hmm.
Like have you earned that spot in terms of your ability to tell me what you're motivated about and what, so that I could define your stage. Otherwise, you're not even in there.
Yeah. Yeah, people, we as salespeople think that we constantly have to earn everyone else's time. Well, you do by providing value, but they also have to earn your time in your
Mhm.
business. Okay. Because there's a lot of people that live in California, and you don't need to get stuck with people that you're chasing all the time. Because that was the other thing she said was how responsive are people?
Mhm.
If they don't ever respond to your emails, your texts, your phone calls, your pop buys, you know, that's probably for a reason. And yet we're constantly chasing some of these people. It's like, dude, they gotta. they got to earn your time too, you know? So it's a great mentality to have. So what I wrote down, because I was taking notes as she was talking, I wrote down what are your standards for the leads that you have? What leads are allowed to go into your database? What leads are allowed to go into your follow-up boss system or whatever CRM you use? You know, make a definition of what a lead is, a standard for a lead. You know, could be a price point. Well, they have to be at a certain price point to earn my level of follow-up. They have to be at a certain qualification status. They have to be in a certain city or a certain area. They have to be a certain type of client to be in my follow-up to earn my time. You know, what are your standards for your leads? But I will tell you, it was a great point because uh, people that generally have the most leads don't do the most business. I can tell you, I can promise you that. Now you have to have some leads, but you know, I take Karen Myatt for example. I mean, every time I talk to Karen Myatt once a week, and you know, Karen, what leads do you have? And she'll give me like two leads. Like you do 60 deals a year, but it's like no, I mean, she doesn't carry a lot of leads. They're just really good, really qualified leads, and they're probably going to close. So she throws people out. There's a certain threshold you have to get even to be on her lead board. All right, what else? What else did you pick up out of that? Well, as I suspected, nobody wants to talk about learning personality styles.
Oh, that's funny.
Because as soon as she mentioned it, I just started laughing, going, "Yeah, let me tell you something, Alex. I've been teaching that train for a number of years now, and I'm not good at a lot of things, but I don't know if there's anyone that other than Mike Ferry that can teach personality styles to the depth that I can, and that doesn't get me very far." So I didn't think she was going to get very far with that one. But there's another person that did mention. Now she mentioned the disc profile. We you know from the
Mm-hmm.
Mike Ferry organization we talk about we don't do the disc, but it's the same thing. It's just different names, right?
Yeah.
So you know just do it your own way. But I just saying.
So going to that point, now I'm thinking that that would be a good thing to put like a tag or maybe a note, what kind of personality that person has, so we can adapt the communication to that personality. That is
Yes.
something I'm not doing it, but that's what I'm thinking right now. I know there is a system. I know there is a program that something about crystal. I don't know.
Well,
But
I'll
it's
tell
a
you
little
this.
expensive for that.
I'll tell you this. In coaching, Mike requires you to do that. So
Oh, see?
when we go to our because I get to go to the coaching the coaches stuff. And he'll say pull out your roster of agents, and that's part of your assignment to pull out your roster of agents. And he'll say you have to write down the personality style next to every single person on your coaching roster. Now mine's a little more difficult because I don't do a whole lot of weekly one-on-one coaching anymore because I'm doing so much with the company. But I mean, yeah, you have to, it's a requirement. You have to have the personality style next to each person that you're coaching. And if you don't
That
do
is
it,
a
then
really good point.
yeah.
Um,
So that way when you're coaching, you know how to direct the coaching call and how to do those types of things. So if you can learn it and you can learn the styles, then yes, you can adapt to it. You know, and that could be, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I know you all don't really care. But that's one of the reasons sometimes people don't respond to your call. I can't call everybody super high energized and super enthusiastic and expect everyone to return my call because if my enthusiasm is annoying to a lot of people. That's not a joke, that's a fact. So I call, hey, how you doing, bud? They're like, oh, I can't deal with Robert right now. It's too much. But if I know they're an analytical or I know they're amiable, I know they're a driver, I'm not going to call them with the, hey, how you doing? Tell me about all the exciting things going on. You know, it's going to be a little bit different, which will then allow them to answer more of my phone calls.
but can I say something? I think that for you it's easier because you talk to your coaching client for at least 20 minutes, half hour. So this, you know, the personalities, you have more time to
Yes,
figure out what
correct.
kind of personality is that person. But for us, that sometimes we talk to a client is, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes, five. Maybe if we are lucky, we can talk a little bit longer. So we don't have enough time to determine what kind of personality is that person
You
most of the
you
time.
you you can if you can get 3 to 5 minutes on a phone call with someone and you're asking enough questions, you can figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I need
let
to
me let,
study
let
the
me
personalities.
let me give you an example. So I'm
Hmm.
curious, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I'm curious, when do you plan on moving? I'm never moving. Okay, that's probably a driver. I'm curious, when do you plan on moving? Oh, I don't know. We really love this neighborhood and I don't think we're moving anytime soon. Okay, leaning towards an amiable. When do you plan on moving? Well, we've been here for 16 years and I got another 4 years before I retire. Once we retire, we're thinking about doing okay, analytical, got it. Well, when do you plan on moving? Oh man, I'm never moving. Forget about this. I love this place. This place is great. Maybe one day I'll go down to the beach, but other than it's like, okay, expressive. So within that first question, I could pick it up. Now, it's not perfect because you catch people at bad times, you catch them in the middle of stuff, so you never know. But just off that first question, how they respond, I at least have something that I'm like, okay, I'm favoring this personality style for that person. Now I just keep asking if the conversation goes 3 to 4 minutes, well, how long have you lived in this area? 6 years. Okay, still giving me 1 or 2 word answers, driver. Got it. We moved here March of 2020, so it'll be 6 years next month, 4 years next month. Okay, analytical, very specific. So it's like if I keep asking questions going down the script, whatever script you
Hi,
use,
Cynthia.
you can figure this out in a couple minutes. Now, again, it's not perfect because you never know their situation, but you can get an
Hmm.
idea. But that takes practice. So it takes practice. Good
Well,
stuff.
I
All
need more
right.
practice.
Well, you need more practice, but part of the practice is you have to actually look for it.
Yeah.
So make a conscious effort of saying, okay, my goal on my calls today is to see if I can figure out their personality styles based on however long the conversation goes. And make a thought. So every time you have a call that goes at least a couple minutes, right? Even if it doesn't lead anywhere, write down, I think that was an amiable. I think that was an analytical. Just practicing doing that. But go to your leads, go to every single lead you have right now and see if you can identify their personality style and then cater your call to them this week based on the personality style you think they are. And I'll bet you'll get a better response from them.
We do.
So
Thank you,
start,
Robert.
you're welcome. And if you need help with that, let me know and I'll see if you give me some details and I can try to identify who they are, what kind of style.
Okay. Thanks.
Good stuff. All right. I thought that was great. Hunter had to jump to a call, so we're not going to thank him because he left. Boo. Loser. What are you going to do? I'm just kidding. We like Hunter. We're going to keep him around for at least another week.